we're here to talk about how do you grow? How do you grow your team? How do you go that next level? How do you go from 40 agents to 350 agents? How do you go from 10 agents to 40 agents? Whatever that goal is for you. Then how many families do you help? How many lives do you impact? How many buyers is that? How many sellers is that? And one of the common threads that we all have to really understand is the only recurring, predictable driver of growth is agent count. Yes, you can do it other ways. Yes, you can take a 2Z producer under your wing and get them to 5 or 6. Then that's growth, sure. But that's not scalable growth. How many times can you do that? And then does that person burn out? And was that their individual definition of success? Or do they go right back to 2 a year the minute you stop personally driving them there? Because we've all done this. You can drag someone to a level of success that they're not aligned with, and as long as you are literally like holding them by the hand and dragging them there, they will do it. And then you think they're there, and you let go of their hand, and you take the next person's hand, you're going to drag to success, only to turn around and see that the original person you helped has slid all the way back to the 2 or 3 transactions. And it's because their individual definition of success didn't align with where you're trying to go. And so your better growth strategy is, instead of trying to turn all of your 2-unit agents into 6-unit agents, just go get 2 more 2-unit agents. And now you get 6, and you get a predictable 6. And again, I'm not telling you not to try to help your agents be more productive. Like, that is a part of the overall formula, because there are people out there who are only doing 2 that wish they were doing 6. Their individual definition of success is to get to 6, is to get to 10, is to get to 15. But that's not the market average, and it's not where most people are. And the longer the market stays bad, the more people are having to find other jobs, side hustles, whatever it is, to pay their bills, which then locks them even deeper into the level of time and energy they can commit to real estate, reinforcing that problem of individual definition of success. And so for you as an owner, as a CEO of a team, your only predictable metric is agent count. If you want to do 1,000 deals a year, I will promise you, if you can get to 250 agents, you'll do 1,000 deals a year. You'll probably do more than that, because you will put some systems in place and things to help them grow. But on the flip side, there was this window of time when this like Navy SEAL team concept was all in vogue inside the industry. Like, oh, I'm going to sell 500 homes with like 3 people, and none of us are going to sleep or eat, and we're all going to get divorced, and we're never going to see our kids, and we're going to be the biggest badasses on the planet, whatever. And guess what? All those teams burn out. It doesn't work. It's not scalable. It's not sustainable. And yes, for some period of time, the leader figures out how to hold on to all 3 or 4 of their hands at once and drag them all up the hill. And the minute you let go, the production falls and the teams implode. And we see it happen over and over and over again. Now, that's not to say you can't have a group of Navy SEALs inside of your bigger organization. That's not to say that if you have 50 agents on the team, yeah, maybe there's 3 or 4 people who are going to step up and do a whole lot of volume compared to the mean or the average. But that can't be what your business is based on. Because you lose 1 out of those 4 agents, now what? Who's doing all that work, right? So you have 2 problems. They get lazy, or their definition of success falls, or on the flip side, their definition of success gets bigger than yours, and now they need to leave you because they need to become you. And if you have these really tiny teams, it's too easy to have that happen. And so I'm a big believer, and this came from how I built my businesses and the big teams that I work with at LPT on their growth. Agent count is the predictable driver. And so the first step in the ladder, and it's funny because this is like how I think of the first rung, is what Real Trends calls a mega team. And so on Real Trends, once you get to 20 agents, you're a mega team. And that is their highest level of Real Trends. There's nothing bigger than a mega team, right? That is my starting line. And so then where does our top go? And our top goes to this idea of the $1 billion team. And so we went into Real Trends, and last year there were 5 $1 billion teams. All right? And the $5 billion teams from top to bottom are Jason Mitchell Group, Mark Spain. If you go by transactions, it's Robert Slack, then Big Block. If you go by volume, it's Big Block, then Robert Slack. So the folks who built both of those teams are in this room. We got Sam, who built Big Block, and we have Lauren, who built Robert Slack. The 5th one, I think, was with Compass. They sell like 100 homes a year in LA, and it's really not relevant to really, or maybe it was Manhattan, like 100 homes a year in Manhattan or whatever. Really irrelevant to what we're trying to do here. And so I just realized, like, that is a great aspirational goal, right? Like, if mega team is the bottom, $1 billion team seems like a great dream big aspirational goal in line with where we're going. And so when you want to be bigger than a mega team, you are on some level of that journey to $1 billion team, right? Now, maybe $200-300 million gets it done in your market. Maybe for your individual definition of success, it's $500 or $600 million, whatever it is. But it's probably more than $100 million, and it probably starts to look like the same dynamics and fundamentals and growth strategies that it takes to go all the way to the billion. Now, if you choose to stop at $400 million, $500 million, $600 million, fine. But what I'm telling you is once you cross that $100 million, once you get beyond mega team, what will get you to 5, 6, 7 will get you to $1 billion. You just have to do more of it. And so really we're focused now on what are the strategies, what are the techniques, how do you set up a team that has the infrastructure and the scale and the processes to be a billion-dollar team, because you're not going to get there without agent count, unless you're the guy in Manhattan selling 100 homes a year. Like they have like 10 agents, they're going to do $1 billion because, again, their average price point is $10 million. That's not the reality for most of us. And so we need agent count. You want to do $1 billion, you're going to need a whole lot of agents. And so that's what we're focusing on here. And so the big shift you have to be able to make is you built your business on the idea of I need to get buyers and sellers. And then I need to help them transact. I need to find more listings. I'm going to have events. I'm going to hold open houses. I'm going to door knock. I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do. And I'm going to be very purposeful and focused on how do I get more buyers and how do I get more sellers. And now you have to shift that hat to how do I get more agents? I'm going to let the real estate stuff handle itself, because it is much easier to hire someone to run the real estate part of your business than it is to hire someone to run the growth part of your business. Because there's a whole lot of folks out there doing real estate. There are very few people who actually understand how to drive agent count growth in a meaningful way. So early on, it is the team leader putting on that hat to say, I am the rainmaker. I figured out how to get the buyers, and then I figured out how to get the listings, and now I have to figure out how to get the agents. And so what I'm going to take you through over the next hour or so is how to use social media with paid social media, right? Boosts, paid ads, so you get them to the right people, and how to use email marketing and how to use events to drive that recruiting funnel so that by the time you do ask someone to join your team, it was a yes before you even asked, right? Because that's what we want to get to. And so we're going to talk through the psychology. And again, a lot of this is the stuff that we use to build LPT Realty. How did we go from 0 to top 10 in the U.S. in 3 years, and now we're like number 6 or 7, depending on where some other folks fall. You know, we processed 10,000 commissions last month. Like, that's a whole lot of volume running through this little company that's 3 years old. And so a lot of the strategies and psychology is what we're going to talk about now, because it applies directly to your team. In a microcosm, if we can go from 0 to 10,000 agents in 2 years and 15,000 agents by 3 years and beyond that, you can use those same strategies and tactics to get to 10 agents, 20 agents, 30 agents, 100 agents. And we've got folks sitting in this room that have gone to 350 agents, 400 agents, like big organizations, big teams built inside this brokerage. So I'm going to spend this time talking about what I'm calling recruiting psychology foundation. So the recruiting reality is there's a couple of different buckets of agents out there. And if we don't think about this, we will get results that we don't necessarily understand. So there are like ready now agents. There are agents who are struggling. They can't pay their bills. Their spouse is telling them, hey, it's time to give up this dream. Like, we're not paying those $1,000 NAR dues next year. Like, this is a waste of money. You haven't sold a house in 7 or 8 months. Like, this is done, it's over, whatever. And if you call them as a credible team leader in that window, it takes very little to get them to say yes, because they're out of options, they're out of moves, they're desperate. Like, it's either get out or do something different. And so if you call enough people or email enough people or meet enough people or kick in the doors of enough open houses and go meet people, whatever your strategy is, you will find people in this bucket and they will move. And then a lot of other people don't move, and we don't necessarily understand why. And so we have to understand these buckets. And then there's a frustrated but not moving. So maybe they're not fully happy with where they are. And this is actually, unfortunately, most agents right now, because the market is hard. And this is one of the few times in history where I will tell you that is the most, right? Like, normally I would tell you most aren't even considering switching. But we are in this unique window right now after 3 years of pain, 3 years of 4 million home sales, 3 years of next year is going to be better, right? Free beer tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be better. Next year is going to turn around. The Fed's going to drop rates. We're going to get a new president. We're going to get a new Fed president. And it just hasn't happened. We are 3 years into 4 million annualized home sales. And unfortunately, the small agent who relies on referrals and their sphere is impacted the most in a declining market because they don't have leads, they don't have systems, they don't have good prospecting habits, they don't know how to go out and engage and find business. They sit back and wait for it to come to them. And so what's happening right now is no business is coming to them because there are so few transactions. And then some of the business that should have gone to them, you guys are taking because you're having to work harder right now. And if we flip that dynamic and we go to 6 million home sales, 6.5 million home sales like we saw during COVID, you all get so busy with other things that that person can make it to the part-time agent, right? Because what we see happen is when the market rebounds, teams hit capacity first. The agent doing 2 deals a year, they got all the time in the world. They can go from 2 to 8 to 10 to 12. Most of you in this room could not 5x your volume in a year without adding a ton of agents, right? Where a solo agent, they can 5x their business purely based on market dynamics. And so we had these couple of years, 2020, 2021, the first 3 months of 2022, where everybody was able to make money. The onesie-twosie agent was a 60, 70 agent, and that has been blown out and gone. And the frustration has set in, and people are losing hope, and they're starting to believe, I don't know if it'll ever get back there anymore. I'm tired of hearing next year. I'm tired of pouring money into this. I'm tired of wasting my time. And so for one of the first times in history, most agents right now are frustrated but not moving. And you will still catch the ready nows, but like that's really got to be the right day. The frustrated but not moving, like that's this big market right now. And then finally is the some aren't even considering switching, which that's usually our most. The readiness spectrum, the highs are actively looking. Again, you can stumble across them. They may seek you out, right? They may come into your website. They may call you and say, hey, maybe they don't say these words, but if they're thinking it, like I'm about to leave the industry. You're my last hope. What does it take to get on your team? And those are now inbound because of where they are in their pain cycle. The mediums, frustrated, hesitant. The low, comfortable, but curious. And so we have to balance this idea between finding and creating readiness. And so if you want to find that needle in a haystack, which again, now is the best time to do it because there are more needles in the haystack than ever, but that's an approach, that's a strategy. I'm just going to talk to as many people as I have to until I find one that is ready to go. And this is really how we see most teams running their recruiting. This is how most recruiting is taught, and you can absolutely be successful with it. But I want you to take it to the next level. I want you to think about how do we create readiness? How do we nurture tomorrow's movers? How do we help get people to a place where the idea of the value you can bring them becomes the reason they get ready, instead of it being that their situation got so bad they felt like they had no other choice. And if you can combine these two recruiting tactics, where you are actively bringing in the ones that you can find, the ones that are desperate, the ones that are currently downtrodden, with an ability to create and nurture tomorrow's movers, this is where you start to see a different level of results. This is where you start to see a higher level. And the other cool thing is, those agents that you create readiness for are going to be higher quality agents, because they're not as beat down. They're not on the brink of quitting. They're not brand new. They're probably doing okay, right? And so if someone is doing 1 or 2 deals a year and they just believe you can get them to 5 or 6, they'll move. But the person who's already doing 5 or 6 a year, a belief in you getting them to 5 or 6 is worthless. You're already there. So now you got to make them believe you can get them to 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 or whatever this is on their definition of success. And that's what we're going to talk about. How do we do that? And so this idea of desperation versus belief. And so the more desperate the target is, the more desperate the agent you're trying to recruit is, the less proof you need. Again, I'm doing 1 or 2. I'm going to roll the dice. This leader called me. They said they got some flex leads. I've heard that works. Or they're getting realtor.com. I've heard that works. Or they got a bunch of listings in my market, which I know because I've seen their signs. They got to be doing better than me, so I'll roll the dice and give it a try. Where a more comfortable agent, you need a lot more credibility. They've really got to be able to see a path to something better, something bigger, something that aligns with that definition of success. And so you have to match the proof to the readiness level. Why do we think most agents join a team? Is it leads? Is it leadership? Is it other? The team value proposition, which we talk about a lot. But in reality, it's a combination of readiness and belief. The TVP is important. You have to have that great team value proposition. It plays into this. But you will not move someone before the readiness they have matches the belief they need to make that move. And so this is how we have to think about like a line. The more ready they are, the less belief they need. The less ready they are, the more belief they need, vice versa. So we need to create more belief. We need to be proactively creating belief. Another word for that is influence, creating influence or belief so that we can move them at a lower amount of readiness. And so again, if we roll this back to consumers, there's this idea I have of like in any type of marketing, there's an influence required for you to become their agent. And what we know is the influence required to be someone's buyer's agent is less than the influence required to be their listing agent. There's this psychological idea that like, on the buy side, I'm in control, I can look at the houses, I'm willing to let my friend from high school be my buyer's agent. But then when it comes to selling their biggest asset, all of a sudden they don't want to do business with their friend anymore. They want to go hire the best, right? And so even in that example in our industry, different levels of belief and influence are required. The amount of belief for them to let you list is higher than the amount of belief for them to let you be their buyer's agent. The same thing applies in recruiting. The amount of belief for them to move when they are desperate is very low. The amount of belief required for them to move when they are comfortable is high. The amount of belief for them to move when they are winning is extremely high. And so we have to be building this belief and influence. And so how do we do that? So I think of it as a credibility ladder. And these are the words I use. You can kind of fill your own in. But step one is they have to like you. All right? And this is a step that a lot of us skip. And we tend to jump right to number two, which is they have to think we're smart or credible. And so what I'll tell you is if you go out swinging, trying to convince someone that you're smart or you're credible or you're accomplished, and you skip that they have to like you part, you're doing a huge disservice. And you literally run the risk of completely alienating them and turning them off from ever wanting to do business with you. There's a book called Blink. In it is a concept called thin slicing. And so based on all these years of evolution, when we see someone, we make these instant snap decisions. Do we like them? Do we not like them? Are they a salesperson? Are they a good person? Are they a serial killer? Or whatever it is. Like we're making all of these wild judgments in the blink of an eye with no real tangible proof. We don't know if they're a serial killer or not. We're going to look at them and be like, I think they might be a serial killer. I have zero proof. I have nothing to base this on, but I got a feeling. Let me tell you, when somebody has that feeling, you're probably never going to be able to date them, get inside their house. Like, it's very hard to get rid of that thin slice. And so if someone's first exposure to you is too overbearing, hey, I want you to join my team. Oh, recruiter. Hey, let me tell you how to sell 10 more homes. Probably trying to sell me a coaching product. Like whatever it is, because our industry is so filled with that. And so what I want you to think about, what I'm going to show you how to do is we got to just focus on the like you. We need to get a whole bunch of agents to just like us before we try to show them we're smart, before we try to tell them we've got the answers to their problems, before we try to tell them we have the answers to other people's problems, because the more we assume or the more we push, the more we risk getting thin sliced in a way that we can honestly never recover from. And so if you're in a market where there's like Central Florida, I got 20,000 targets. If I alienate half of them, it doesn't matter. Okay, but how much better would your business be if you don't and you can fish in the whole pond? And then you get to fishing in very small ponds. If you have 10 or 20 or 30 targets and you alienate them, you can never come back from that. You literally may have to wait for there to be an entire turnover of new agents to get licensed and join the industry because you alienated the small group of targets in your market. And so if we focus on likability above all else, in the way we early advertise ourselves and engage with agents in our market from this recruiting, lead you, join you, teach you phase, we're going to see a much better result down the line. And look, and this is not theory. I use this in my business, and I actually used it in this market. So traditionally, when I would expand RP funding to a new market, I would go on TV and I would say, hey, I'm Robert Palmer, and I'm going to pay all your closing costs. Call me today and get a refinance. Right? And it worked because about a third of the people needed it. They needed a refinance. And the lower rates are, the more calls we got. But there were also a lot of people saying, he's got to be lying. He's got to be a bad dude. I don't like him. I don't know why. I just don't like him. I dealt with this. And we would feel it because, we would get, Facebook reviews from people. I've never actually talked to him, but I just hate him from TV or whatever. And so learning from this, I decided we would try this. And so when I first started advertising in this West Palm Beach TV market, for 6 full months, I spent $5 million on TV commercials that did nothing but try to make me likable. I never put a call to action in. I did not tell them I was going to pay their closing costs. I told stories about inspiration to start my company, my parents both filing bankruptcy, wanting to help people from being in debt. Very likable, very soft, very low key. We did that for 6 months, $5 million, no call to action. So no return on investment. And trust me, this was scary because I'm like, am I literally lighting this $5 million on fire? First week of the Olympics was still these Like Me commercials. And then the second week of the Olympics, we flipped it to, hey, I'm Robert Palmer. Let me pay all your closing costs. The results were insane. Our phones exploded. We had the most positive feedback. The conversion ratios were the highest we had ever seen. It was like every key metric we track, the way the sales calls felt to our loan officers, it was amazing. And so that was really my proof of this, that if you will take the time and be patient and focus on the likability before you start asking for the sale, before you start positioning yourself as the expert, whatever the next phase is, you will see amazing results, and results that you literally cannot achieve any other way, because once too many people thin slice you as the recruiter, the sell me a product, the whatever it is, because we're all so preconditioned to shut that down, right? We walk into a department store, we're literally there to buy something, and someone says, hey, can I help you find something? No, I'm just looking, right? Like, we've all done this. It's like, no, I'm literally here to buy that thing, but I just told the person who could probably pick it up and hand it to me, no, I'm just looking, because I felt like they were going to try to sell me something, and all my guard went up. Right? If I knew that person, if I like that person, if I trust that person, they can get a better result. And so that's what we're going to focus on, is the phase one is the like you. Then we start to ease in, like, let me give you some education. Let me start making some deposits. Because I even think if you start trying to make deposits into people's, deposits is the idea of like the free information, just give, like teach, train, let me help you solve your problems. People are even becoming like wise to that because every marketer is doing it. There's so much of it out there that everybody believes, oh, you're only being nice to me because you want to sell me something, unless they like you first. That is always the caveat we're going to go back to. So like you, only then get them to think you're smart. Only then start making those deposits of knowledge and information and offers and invites into them after we've gotten to be likable. And then we want to show them we can solve other people's problems, our existing team members. This is what my existing team members are doing. And then finally, after all of that, we show them how we're going to solve their problems, which is when we actually start to talk about them coming to join our team, because that's how I'm going to solve your problems. You like me. You recognize that I'm smart and credible. I have shown you that I solve other people's problems, and only now will I offer to solve your problems by inviting you to join my team. Right? And this is how we move those folks who are not desperate, move those folks who are not needing it, they're not looking. This is how you move the bigger producers. This is how you move folks that can be sub-team leaders. This is how you move folks that can be mentors. This is how you move folks that can make a massive impact on your business, besides just all the agents we need of body count to meet our goals from a pure unit perspective. So step two, then we get into think you're smart, providing insights. If you can spark that aha moment for someone, and again, this is only after we've gotten them to like us. So this is like 3 months into these campaigns I'm going to talk to you about before we start dropping any of this stuff, because we want them to just see us in a likable way. Now we need to provide insights. If we can spark that aha moment, if you can have somebody read your thing and be like, damn, that was impactful. Like, I'm going to go use that. That is a win. Like, there's a lot of people providing like low quality, low key information. We read it, we schlep it off, like, and even like our headline here, like 3 fastest ways agents added 2 closings this quarter. That may provide an aha moment for somebody, maybe not for somebody else. And we're in this world where we want to be skeptical of everything. And so if we can have that win where we actually provide an insight that sparks an aha moment, we're going to win. Short frameworks, market perspectives. On social, this is like quick tip reels, market insights. We have a potential email blast there. And then finally, we go into how you show them you solve others' problems. Testimonials, agent success stories, you celebrating one of your agents, getting one of your agents to share a story of how they were about to leave the industry and give it up, and their spouse was telling them not to pay their NAR dues, and they joined your team, and now they're a top producer, and they just took their family on a trip to Jamaica. You don't poison that with so now it's your turn, click here today, let me take you to Jamaica, right? Like, we're not there yet. That's coming later. But it happens. You all laugh because it happens, right? Like, and this could be you. Like, we're not going to do that. So we're just going to show them, like, hey, here I'm. Again, it's how you frame it. I am so proud of John on my team. I remember when he came to me and he was struggling and he was about to give it up, and he just took his family on this trip to Jamaica, and here's a picture from that, and he texted me this picture the other night, and I have never been so damn proud of someone in my life. John, you crushed it. You deserve every minute of it. I hope you drank a Mai Tai for me. You're the man, John. It's not about me. It's not about joining my team, but I am showing people that I solve other people's problems. I solve John's problems. I got John from giving up the license to taking his family on a vacation to Jamaica, and then I did not ask for the sale. And then finally, and only after all of that, do we fire it up and start asking for sales. Personal discovery conversations, because now we're going to show them we can solve their problem, and the way we will solve their problem is join our team. If you're a coach, you solve their problem by selling them a coaching package. Like whatever it is, in our room that's joined the team is our sale. That's our close. That is our conversion. But we have to show them that we can solve their problems, all right? Mapping systems to their pain points, events, follow-ups. If we can get them to our events, our open team meetings, we're talking about that stuff. And now we're getting into like personal invites, one-on-one coffees, a lot of that stuff that most people do on the very first phone call. We are 4 steps in. We're like 7 or 8 months into this process before we're ever asking for the sale. Now, you have to balance this, and my recommendation would be if you have recruiters today that are recruiting the normal way, you're not going to stop that because we're not going to slow down your growth. But you need someone new, and in most cases, it's you all personally are going to step into this role. So while your recruiters are continuing to bang it out the old way and ask for the sale on the first call, and they're going to get results, you're over here quietly building your credibility, moving from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and then when you get to 4, you get to suddenly start handing your recruiters the most powerful appointments, the laydowns, the recruiting equivalents of come list me's. We'll call those come ICA me's, that they've ever seen. Because I don't want you to stop what you're doing, right? I'm not saying like, hey, let's put all recruiting on pause for 6 months while we reset the way we think about recruiting. So the key to this is social and email. All right, this is the way you reach a whole lot of people because this is pretty classic one-to-many sales. There is one of you. There are many of them. Again, your recruiters can get on the phone with them. Your recruiters can have other conversations, and you may do that later. But at this phase, it's very much about one-to-many sales. Facebook, Instagram, any of the Meta products, what we're going to do here is we're going to go into Courted, and I'm not going to get super detailed on this today, but you're basically going to create your target list in Courted, and then you're going to take that list and you're going to download it from Courted. You're going to have to delete a couple of columns and format it to then be uploaded to Meta so that you can target those people online. All right, one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is, was it Bryant, I think I was talking to about this like just last week. I was like, hey, who are you targeting? And he sent me this like list, and it's like people who like real estate investing, like realtors, say they're a realtor, work for this, work for that. And it's a lot of nonsense. We have Courted. We have the email address and the phone number of the actual agents we want to reach. And guess what Facebook has? The phone numbers and emails of those same people. And so when you upload that list, Facebook will cross-reference the two, and Facebook will now only show your ad to the people on that list you downloaded from Courted. Phase 1, get them to like you. The goal, build rapport only, 0 offers, just get them to like you. CTA, none. Only conversational or compliment-based. Now, trigger, if they reply or engage, then you can move them up. Somebody replies back and is like, man, Robert, thanks so much for that. Like, I've been following you. I think you're great too. They're going into credibility, right? Otherwise, they're going to stay in like me for a couple of months, right? But again, I wanted to put that in there because they will get those people who just engage immediately. Like, you're literally just like, hey, congrats on your first closing in whatever neighborhood. Congrats on your first closing at whatever price point. Or, hey, I was looking through MLS data, and I noticed you just had your highest price point closing. Congrats. Keep crushing it. Awesome. No, let's have coffee. No, I want to meet you. No, write me back. No, I'm going to give you some free advice. Just, hey, unfiltered, just compliment. Throw it into the world and assume you're going to get nothing back. Welcome to the industry. Big first step. Somebody just had their first closing. Like, hey, just saw you had your first closing. You've only been licensed for a couple of months. Congrats. Like, whatever it is. We need to compliment them on something, and you can always find a way to give someone a compliment. Compliments cost you nothing, and we are just going to give them away. Right, we're going to email out these compliments to people. And Courted helps you do this. Courted can help you find the people and send them out the email. And again, we're going to get them that right message. The other cool one is if they have a closing with your team. Like, hey, congrats, you just had a closing with Jim on my team. They said you're awesome. They said you were kind. They said you crushed it on the deal, right? No request of anything, just, so your name came up in a meeting, you're awesome. I just wanted you to hear that. I mean, maybe, hey, in our industry, we don't tell each other that enough. So I make it a point to tell people when I think they're awesome and I think you're awesome. All right, then on social media, at the same time, we're making personal posts. We're being authentic and human and approachable. And so I'm going to talk to you about the workflow on this. Small behind-the-scenes wins, agent life, like whatever. They smile, they nod, and they think, I like, right? We're building rapport only. 0 offers, just get them to like you. And then the thought process I go through is, all right, I just posted this video of a bunch of team leaders landing on a helicopter in Montana and having a badass time. Do I need to show this to the people I want to like me? Or do I want to show this to the people I'm trying to build credibility with? So every time you make a post that is in any way relevant to the business, you're going to ask yourself that question. Like, does this post serve the sole purpose of making me likable? Or did I cross one of the lines? Is this a little too heavy? Are they not ready for this yet? If this is their first impression of me, are they going to thin slice me as some kind of helicopter flying asshole? Right? That's a real concern. I did not put this one out to my like me targets. I put this out to my credibility targets because I do not want someone's first interaction to me to be with this asshole puts people on helicopters, because there's a certain personality type that's what they're going to think. And so your like me posts have to be like completely defensible, like unquestionable. This is going to make them like me. If you have any hesitation, kick it to the credibility group. If there is any thought some asshole could respond to this in the wrong way and take it the wrong way, and to them it will make me less likable, I'm going to kick it to the credibility group, the group who has already crossed the like me first impression, because we don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So I have these 2 targets, and so it's this easy. I click Boost Post on the first screen, and then I scroll down and I have my different saved audiences, credibility targets, like me targets. If I click on see all, I'll see my show them I can help others targets, show them I can help them targets, and I'm literally going to boost that post, and the only people who are going to see it are the actual agents you downloaded from Corded and uploaded into your like me post. Not people who like real estate or used to be a realtor or maybe want to be a realtor or whatever. Only the targets you built inside of Corded. So guess what? You can put a pretty good budget behind this because it's not a lot of people. Like, you can literally have these people seeing you a couple times a day. If there's only 1,000 of them, what's 1,000 impressions on Facebook? $10, $20, right? Like, if there's 100 people, you can reach them 5 times a day for not a lot of money. Like, we just really have to understand there is power in how small these lists are. We don't have this on the buy and sell side. Maybe you could say, like, this is FSBOs and expireds, but even those as targets aren't as good. We have such a small audience here. We get to be mindful. We get to show them the right message. We get to be purposeful, and this is how it starts. And then this is going to put it on Instagram and Meta and Threads and all over the platform. And between Instagram and Facebook, you're going to reach most real estate agents. If you want to get really fancy, you can do the same thing in LinkedIn. I think you can do it on TikTok. I have not personally done it. I'll research that. But the idea is we're just showing the message to the audience that we want to see that message, and we're guaranteeing that the audience will see the message because Meta wants your money, right? You just post organically. I don't know. I've got 5,000 friends and 10,000 followers or whatever, and maybe a couple thousand of them see my average post. This group, they all see it, and they all see it over and over and over again because Meta wants to charge my credit card. So we're using it to our advantage, right? We're controlling the sequence, the frequency, and everything, and more importantly, we're making sure that only the purest of the like me posts make it to the like me audience, because chances are the like me audience is not friending you on Facebook. So they didn't see it when you posted it organically. They're only going to see it when you boost it to the like me targets list. So then we have what I call phase 1.5, and this is the soft PS offers. And so for me, this is more email based. You could absolutely do it on Meta as well. So I would probably call this one like me plus, or like me a little bit, maybe, like we've moved them a little down the funnel. And the idea here is that it's like a soft, what I call PS. It's like the postscript, right? The idea is the meat of the post, the meat of the email is still purely likable, but we now are adding a small call to action, a soft call to action in the form of a PS. This happens after a couple months of dripping on them with the pure like me. So a couple months of pure like me, and now we're going to try to move it forward. So we're going to go to like me plus a little something else. Is kind of how I think about it. And so in email, it's like after I've sent them 3, 4, 5, hey, congratulations, hey, you're great, whatever. When I send them the next one, hey, congrats again on your recent whatever, P.S., I send a short weekly tip on what top producers are doing. Would you like me to add you? P.S., would you like a quick playbook I wish I had when I started? I can add you to my weekly updates. So we're continuing with the like me headline. The meat of it is the like me, but because we've been sending these like me emails for a while now and we've started to build some level of likability, we're going to move in this little soft offer in the email. Now you can do it on Meta as well, and it would be again like a, hey, congratulations to so-and-so, want to join my list, like shoot me an email, right? So hey, post short insights on growth, add a CTA, want these kind of tips in your inbox, DM me your email address, whatever, soft ask. But the purpose of the post, the purpose of the email is still just like me. But now after a window of time, we're going to add these soft offers in there. And we're going to try to move some people down. And some people will. They'll write back and be like, yeah, I'd love to get your tips. I'd love to see it. Now you're giving them a reason to respond. They've gotten a couple of just pure like you emails, and they probably like you more than they should without psychologically understanding why, because of the nice emails you sent them. And now when you do hit them with the little gotcha of I wanted you to join my email list, it's like, all right, cool. And then finally, on the email side, and this one's really just email side, we can go to what I call phase 1.75, which is now if like a month later or whatever. So the idea is like if the whole likability phase is 3 months, the first month is phase 1, the second month is phase 1.5, the third phase is like 1 month 1.75, and you're being consistent through this. So it's like you didn't get the response, so now we're going to give them the value unasked. So now it's like, hey, I never heard back from you about that weekly tip. Here's one in case you're curious what they look like. And then boom, you give them that piece of value. You try to create the aha moment. And we're going to do this a couple times. And then at the end of that month, we're just going to put them into the credibility phase because we've spent the time to move them down the likability funnel. So you're flipping the script. They didn't opt in yet. You're still going to offer them to make a little deposit because they've seen you in a positive light in their inbox 6 times, 12 times, 6 times or 4 times with pure, hey, congrats, likability, 4 to 6 times, like, hey, congrats, would you like me to email you? Now it's like, hey, I didn't hear back from you, so let me send you a couple sample tips. And we're moving them down this funnel in a way where we're being likable, but our goal is to get them to the credibility list. And so we've got to create some movement and some momentum while not crossing that likability threshold. And so again, the email here is like, didn't hear back, so here's a free tip. Want me to send you these weekly, just let me know. Phase 2, smart insights, agent-proof stories. All right, so now they're going to get tagged in your CRM as engaged. And so at this point, you would take that courted list that you made. We're 3 months in or whatever. We've moved some of them along organically with the email responses or the DM, the email address or whatever. But at the 3-month mark, we're like, hey, if they've watched my videos, and again, we'll go deeper into this. Like you can tell Meta, like anybody who's watched half of one of my videos, we're going to move them to this new custom list. So the like me list plus watching 50% of a video moves them to the credibility list. Or you may just say, you know what, this was a smaller list. I'm going to move this whole 1,000 people from like to credibility, and then I'm going to go on to courted, and I'm going to get a new 1,000 people and put them into the like me list. So now when I'm going to boost an email, I have 1,000 people in the like me list that I just pulled today, different than the 1,000 people I pulled 3 months ago who I've been dripping on, and I've moved into the credibility list. And then eventually you're going to have 4 of these lists with different people on them, and you're shooting different messages to all of them to tactically move them down this influence funnel. So this is where we get into like how to add closings, the truth about high splits, and why don't always equal higher take home, how agent double production. Like we're getting a little salesy now because we've earned the right. We've made ourselves likable. We've put our face in front of them. We've put our content in front of them. We've spent money with Meta to do this. We have paid for these ads. We have earned the right now to move them into phase 2, where we start to give insights and agent proof. On the email, now we're starting to send them these tips. I would set up an automation in Follow Up Boss or whatever you're going to use for recruiting and have these go out on a sequence where they're getting that weekly tip from you based on when they went into the campaign, because 3 months from now, this group moves to the next phase, and the last group moves to this phase, and a new group goes into the first phase, and we just run this constant recurring cycle. And so now I'm going to click my credibility targets. So I'm giving frameworks and insights and proof stories because now I want them to think I'm smart. You like me? Now I want you to think I'm smart. And so when you make a Facebook post, hey, is this Facebook post going to make me smart and credible? Or am I asking for business? If I'm asking for business, it's not going to the credibility list. But if I'm giving a tip, if I'm driving a potential aha moment, if I've cut a great video that I think resonated well with my team, maybe on the team meeting I said something that a lot of the team members were like, man, Robert, that clicked for me today. I get it after Motivation Monday. Like, man, that thing you said on Motivation Monday today really resonated with me. All right, cool. I'm going to put that on Facebook, and I'm going to boost it to my credibility list because the team told me that thing made me sound more credible, right? Like, you're doing the things in your day-to-day. You're finding the discovery of the content. It's then just purposing it in the right way and getting it in front of the right list. All right, so again, we're not showing these to the like-me's. We're only showing these posts to the credibility targets because they've already been preconditioned to recognize us, like us. They're ready to go down. So we go from like you, and that's the two I'm going to cover today is the like you and smart. And then we're going to get into the others and the me proof later. Like, this is a good starting point. You guys have like 6 months worth of potential, time you have to invest in this because there is no shortcut to the time. You can't speed it up. You can't send them 10 emails in one day. There is a time factor to this where people have to see you consistently show up, right? One compliment email doesn't get it done. It drops their guard a little bit, but we need to be consistent. So we're going to be consistent with it for the first 3 months on likability. Then we're going to be consistent with it for the next 3 months on showing them I'm smart. There have been no calls to action. There have been no, come join my teams. There have been no, let's talk about what our relationship could look like. Nothing I'm going to solve your problems, whatever, with these two lists that we're now running out of corded. And so what we'll do is we'll revisit this in a month or two, and we'll go through the next phases because I don't want to overload you guys today. So that is the first 2 phases of that funnel. And so one of the ways that you can start to shortcut this a little bit is with events. And the other thing is that events become a great way to get more like me posts and more credibility posts, right? You doing a charity event with your team is a fantastic like me post. Helping a team member for something goes wrong in their life is a great like me post. Getting out in the community, hey, having a movie night for your past clients, that's a cool like me post. And so these events become a great way to create like me posts and credibility posts. And so, one, the events can help you collapse the credibility ladder into a shorter experience. You can actually have someone, if you can get them to come to an event in person, you can move them through almost the entire funnel in that event. You meet someone in person, they're infinitely more likely to like you on a single interaction, on a single meeting than they are from social media or emails or whatever. And you can build rapport and respect and proof and trust faster. They can feel the culture. Like we're going to talk about like open team meetings. It's something I'm really a big proponent of. You get them in one of your team meetings, they get to feel your culture. They're getting social proof. They're getting likability. They're getting your credibility. They're seeing people who already want to follow you. Like, you can wrap this whole ladder into a really condensed session if you can get someone to come visit you in person. And you can even potentially do it on like an open Zoom. You have to be careful here because if you directly invite someone too early, then you can get that thin slicing label. And so you got to be really careful about people in the likability phase, like getting in front of this. Like, the events are the one time you can consider speeding up a little bit, but there's an art form to it because even the event invitations can feel ick if we do them too soon or too wrong. And so again, just something to keep in mind. And then these become the posts we use in the email and the social engine. And so the events I like the best, like social gatherings are great. If it's your social gathering, it's more likely to trip the I don't like you. If it's like a charity event or another social gathering, you get a little more leeway there, right? So if you're like, hey, my team and I are going to be at the Blessings in a Backpack event this week, hope to see you there. Or DM me if you'd like to come or you want to learn more about it. Like, again, there's some soft ways we can use events to move some of this around. But at the core, social gatherings, which can be charity-driven, impact-driven, or they can just be fun. Hey, we're doing a movie night, we're doing a social, whatever it is, get the whole team there, your past clients are there. And then for those agents that are far enough down the funnel with you, you start to invite some of them to come be a part of it. Like, hey, the agent I've emailed about doing their deals in this zip code 3 or 4 times. Hey, we're doing a neighborhood garage sale in your neighborhood. Love for you to swing by. Again, like, how do we softly start to build those relationships? Open team meetings. This really helps with the I'm smart, the I'm credible. If you have team meetings in person or in Zoom, there's a point in this list where you start to invite people. Like, hey, we do an open team meeting. Would love for you to come by. Again, this is later in the funnel, right? But I want you to start thinking about planning these events. And you have people now that you could move this to, because while I joked earlier, no one likes us yet, we do already have a list of agents who we know like us. We do already have a list of agents who we know we're credible with that we can move further down that funnel. And so we can invite them to these types of events. The discovery webinars are cool. The handful of team leaders that I've been able to convince to do this have a weekly standing open team discovery call. Hey, every Thursday at 5 p.m. or whatever, we do an open anonymous Zoom or webinar where you can come learn about our team. Low pressure, get in there, see who we are, listen to us. Again, you want to be through likability before you trigger it, and then the community and charity stuff. It creates these opportunities to run email invites personally. So when you're in the right phase of the relationship, you can invite them. Hey, join us Friday here. Come to my open team meeting. We're going to go paint this fence in a neighborhood for a lady whose house is getting foreclosed on, whatever it is. The Facebook ads, you can boost broadly to the agent list like we talked about. So as we have these events, you can have your credibility list. You can have your, again, not the like me list unless it is super high charity, unquestionable. But otherwise, we can boost it to our credibility list. We can boost it to our show them list, show me list. And then also the events can create new warm audiences to target. So when the people that do come to your events, let's get their contact information. Let's get them on those lists. Let's go flag them in Courted as a target so that they show up on our next download list and they go into the funnel for likability and credibility and all those things. And so we create this flywheel where we're using the Courted data to bring people in. We are then predispositioning that audience to like us and trust us and move through the funnel with us. And then we're using events to supercharge that and bring it all together. And this is where we are seeing teams that are growing the fastest, getting the biggest. They're using some form of this framework. They're using some form of this delaying the gratification, starting with the likability, moving it down, and using the tools. And the biggest one is, again, taking that Courted list and really spending time in there. And the other thing I'll find is if it's like, oh, let me rip this Courted list down and give it to my recruiter, I feel like sometimes we don't give it the amount of attention it deserves. It's almost like a chore. Where now that I'm telling you, you're going to spend money to this list, you're going to send emails to this list, you're going to invite these people to events, it will force you to be a little more purposeful in when you build that list up. You're going to drop a few people off. You're going to really think about what is the volume I want to target, how long in the industry. Again, it's like the more purposeful we become about the ultimate strategy, the more it will motivate you to become that Courted wizard who can get in there and figure out the right inputs and the right volumes and the right length of time and the right brokerages to target instead of just ripping a list and spraying and praying, because this is very strategic in how we recruit. Don't overcomplicate the high urgency moves. So I kind of talked about this. I don't want you to stop moving the ready-to-go agents because you're now focused on spending 6 months of your life, pre-positioning a list. I want you to do both, right? I want you to continue to move the high readiness agents, but I also want you to think about how we start to build the trust and the credibility and the relationship with the higher targets and the people that are not ready to move. And the cool thing is, even if you execute this poorly, 3 or 4 months from now, your results on the high readiness will be infinitely better, because anything you did here is going to make them even more ready to join you. And they're going to recognize the team name when your recruiter calls them. And they're going to recognize your name when you get on that first one-on-one with them, because they've been seeing you in their feed, because we're paying to be there, because they're on our list. The comfortable but curious is, again, we want to engage them with the events, the sample tip emails, beliefs growing slowly until the cultural fit clicks. And what we have to learn here is this idea that the credibility ultimately outweighs the lack of urgency. The urgent agents will move. The agents who don't have that urgency, we have to outweigh it with credibility, with influence, with the psychology we talked about. So then finally, what I just talked to you about requires a lot of data, right? And so Courted is the first step in that data. For most of your MLSs, Courted will give you a cell phone number and an email address. We have to be conscious of, in some cases, that email address may be the team email address, right? A lot of your listings are probably under info at Dark Horse Group or info at Military Veteran Team. That is not the email address we want to target, because now we're showing ads to Larry and Bryant instead of showing ads to the agent we're trying to bring on. And so because Courted is getting that contact info from MLS, that's what they're getting. Same thing may or may not happen with cell phone numbers. And so we need to go through a data cleansing process. And the biggest one where we see this mistake, and almost unquestionably it's always the wrong data, is the address. The mailing address is almost always the brokerage. It's I don't think I found any of Courted's data where they even have addresses that it is the agent's actual home address. So now we got to say, hey, we're going to go find home address somewhere else. I know this because we were recently mailed 3,000 Homes.com advertisements to the LPT Realty headquarters, and our branch offices all got them as well, because the home address inside of MLS is the corporate office. I am not redistributing these 3,000 very expensive marketing packages to the agents. They are probably going in the trash can. I don't know what to do with them. Larry's went in the trash can. Yeah. And so the key here is we have to be thoughtful about the data, because we don't want to retarget the team leader's email instead of the agent's. We don't want to retarget the team leader's phone number. We don't want to email the team leader with all of our tips and congratulations. And we definitely don't want to spend, that's probably a $3 or $4 package right there to get direct mailed out. Maybe more, maybe $10. We need to open one up and see how much collateral is in there. But I'm telling you, like, for a company as big as Homes.com, who's as data-driven, like, this was a big fumble. And I promise you, this fumble happens on a small scale every day. Like, team leaders sending recruiting postcards to their competitors' offices, like, not a good look. And so we have to be thoughtful about the data. And so one of the products that I use on the data side beyond Courted, so we start with Courted, we get our list. This is what Courted looks like. Courted's going to give you an email address. It's going to give you a phone number. The easiest way to figure out if it's not their personal email or phone number is see how many times it appears on the list. If an email address is on the list more than once or twice, maybe it's on there twice because it's like a husband-wife, but if one email address is on your list 10 times, it's not the agent's email address because it's on 10 different agents' names. Same thing with the phone number. If Homes.com had been like, man, I can't believe it, 3,000 of these agents live at the same house, right? Like, not a thing. It's clearly an office. And so that's a quick data scrub. And so one of the other tools I use, and this is something I am going to work on negotiating next to try to get into team growth, is a product called Clay.com. They have a free trial that's $0. Their starter's all the way up at $134 a month. So this is not like a super cheap software to have, but this is what it looks like. We're going to try to get this into team growth as an inclusion, but you can do 100 people a month on the free plan. And so I would encourage you to play around with this. And so the cool thing that Clay is, it's basically like an online spreadsheet. It has these links to data enrichment and AI services. And so what I did here is I took the Zillow profile URL of a whole bunch of agents over there on the left, and then I wrote this AI prompt for Clay. And I said, scan the URL, which is the Zillow profile, and extract the name of the team leader, the number of sales in the last 12 months, the total sales, the number of reviews, the number of team members, the names of the team members, any phone numbers, team website, social profile link, LinkedIn link, email, service areas. Also extract the real estate brokerage name, which is listed on the profile name, the agent license number, which is in a hidden div at the bottom of the HTML, and the average sales price, number of reviews. And then Clay will go do it. It'll go apply that. It'll apply that AI prompt to every single row in my spreadsheet. Like, really powerful technology. I'm spending a couple grand a month with Clay. Like, when I did the Real Trends list, I did it inside of Clay. Really cool. And so this is something we'll do a deep dive on inside of Team Growth as well. But again, we've got to clean our data. And so again, quick way to figure out, am I about to send a bunch of mail to the office? Am I about to retarget the wrong email address? And then more importantly, how do I find the right email address? Because I'll tell you this, agents' email addresses are really easy to find. Like, you tell Clay, like, go scan the internet and go find, Larry Fisher's email address, it'll go find it. Because again, our stuff's out there. It's on a bunch of websites. And so while MLS may be the team information, Clay is able to, with the right prompt, go find the agent's individual email address, which then lets us put them in that Facebook targeting list and get the ad in front of the right person.